Hi there, Nada. So you've written some essays. Great. Let's take a look and see what you wrote today. The first one is about activities with a child which can develop better creativity and skills. Let's see. There is no doubt that reading has numerous benefits. It has been the first resource to education for many decades. Okay. There are a couple things that I wanted you to do in this sentence. The first one is you've got two very separate ideas here. So what you should have done is either put a semicolon here instead of a comma and keep them like as two separate ideas, or you should have used some sort of a linking word here. That's the first thing. The second thing is I wasn't really crazy about the syntax here, so let's fix that up a bit. It has been the first resource in education for many decades. And what you mean when you say first resource, I'm not really even sure what that means. Do you mean the most important form of education, or I guess the most important resource, but the first, I'm not sure. So I'm just, I just want to double check with you. But I would have said in education, and then again, I'm not really sure about this. Okay, so however, entertaining activities can play a massive role in improving children's skills. I believe, again, doing the same thing. A comma here is not doing enough. So you could have split them up into two sentences, or you could have put a semicolon, or use some sort of a linking word here. Like what you could have done was this. Entertaining activities can play a massive role in improving children's skills. However, it doesn't really work here though, does it? And I believe more engaging activities can build a wider range of skills. Okay, again, you could have just changed this up a lot of different ways. You could have said, however, entertaining activities can play a massive role in improving children's skills, and the more of these activities, the better. Okay, so then you're really changing things up there, and just kind of highlighting how important these activities are. Okay, in this essay, I will use examples for from game console use and sport to illustrate my argument. All right, I think that works like that. Firstly, playing on electronic game consoles can develop skills that would be impossible to develop by just reading alone. Capital your T here. This is because when playing on consoles, a child can develop spatial, reflexive, and, don't forget your and, cognitive awareness. These types of skills, now you can't start a sentence with an and. So you could have either linked it to the previous sentence or just remove the and start a new sentence. So these, T-H-E-S-E, these types of skills are impossible to develop by reading alone, I would have said. Again, capital. For example, a recent study by Harvard showed that children playing 2 hours a week on consoles such as PlayStation outperform their counterparts. I don't know what count pass means. Do you mean their counterparts, like kids who are the same age as them? I'm not sure. By 20% in, I don't know what a psychometrics test is. I think you mean something different. I think you mean psychometric, which is spelled much differently. Therefore, capital letter in the beginning of each sentence, okay? It's now like the third or fourth time I've seen it, so just assume that if you start a new sentence, you have to capitalize it. And you spelled it wrong. Therefore, the advantage of playing on games consoles is clear, because it's one advantage. So either the advantages are clear and give the opportunity to a child to progress in areas, plural, neglected by just reading. Okay, so the structure of this paragraph is fine. You've done exactly what you're supposed to do. However, there are a lot of little mistakes, partially like with your punctuation and the way you start your sentences, and no capitals and things like that. Okay, So it's like little mistakes, but it's the kind of mistakes that will, if you do them consistently enough, it will certainly decrease your score. Secondly, participation in sports allows a student to gain various skills, and when students are physically fit, they will achieve more academically. This is because physical activities, especially sports, introduce new dynamics, such as competitive spirit and sense of determination. No return here, no enter. For example, the British Sports Council, CIL, in fact, noted that students, who are involved in sports activities during their study have more developed mental and physical skills and showed intelligence, CE, to deal with peers and difficult situations. In conclusion, all right, wait a minute, what? All right, didn't you need a kind of summary sentence here in this paragraph to kind of link it back to the first sentence? Because that seems to be missing for me here. Okay, in conclusion, although many significant skills cannot, one word, be obtained and enhanced unless, how about this? Without, I don't know, unless is throwing me off here. Let me try it again. Many significant skills cannot be obtained and enhanced unless by practicing numerous, not numerous entertaining activities. The benefits of reading and education should not be neglected. All right. Yes and no, because it sounds like in the end that you're saying, yeah, all these skills and all these activities are great, but really reading is king. And that doesn't work because never in your essay did you talk about the benefits of reading. Could you have? Yeah, you could have. You could have said, for example, in this paragraph, reading is really good because it develops A, B, C, D, E characteristics. However, sports can do this, game consoles can do this, and all these things are wonderful, and they're so much more important than reading. Okay? So then you could have mentioned reading in your conclusion, but since you didn't mention it anywhere in your body, I wouldn't have mentioned it here. I didn't mind that you mentioned it in your introduction, okay? But to then say in the end that, you know, the skills you gain from reading should not be neglected, I kind of think to myself, well, wait a minute, where was that in the body paragraphs? I didn't see that anywhere. So what I'm trying to tell you is that you should not include any new information in your conclusion. And I kind of felt like that's what you did, okay? So let's see what else we have from you. Okay, so should schools be more entertaining or should they just educate? Let's see what you said. It is undeniable that providing entertaining facilities at schools is one of the most challenging issues over the last 10 years. And many people argue that schools are just to educate, while others believe that students should be practicing entertaining activities during their study period. Full stop. This essay will discuss both issues using an example from developing countries to demonstrate points and support arguments. All right, so check this out, Nada. Is this one sentence? Look at this. It starts here, comma, comma, comma. So you've got one sentence as your entire paragraph. And it's, oh boy, it's about 6.5, 7 lines long. So that's a definite no-no, okay? You absolutely need to cut it up into at least 3 sentences. So let's talk a little bit about where we could have done that. It is undeniable that providing entertaining facilities at schools is one of the most challenging issues of the last 10 years. Stop. Many people argue that schools are just to educate, while others believe that students should be practicing entertaining activities during their study period. Full stop. This essay will discuss both issues, use an example, etc., and then you're fine. Okay? So it needed to be 3 sentences. First of all, entertaining programs such as sport, paint, and music have drastically developed offspring's skills in many aspects. I don't really like the word offspring here, and I think respects would have been better here instead of aspects, respects. This is because these kinds, S, of activities grant students the opportunity with an O to define themselves and their interests. Therefore, this will be reflected in their academic examples. Okay, great, but now support it. So, for example, I don't know, and then give me an example of somebody who plays music and how this helps create new synapses in the brain, or maybe helps them, you know, develop a new appreciation for math, or maybe somebody who paints develops a new appreciation for geometry, okay, and how to kind of structure a painting, and through that sees that their academic progress improves as well. All right, so there were tons of things you could have said here, and then you can round it off with a conclusive statement saying, therefore, these other areas that can be done in school help develop people's character and even helps with their academic skills, okay? Oh, what's this? All right. For instance, a recent study conducted by United Nations. All right, first of all, this did not belong in its own paragraph. I didn't see it obviously before, so it needed to belong here, and then capitalize the F. So, for instance, a recent study conducted by the United Nations in developing countries showed that students from schools where entertaining facilities were available have improved physical, no S, mental and cognitive skills. Okay, so then, fine, you've got that example, but you still need to wrap it up with a sentence that brings it back to the first. Secondly, it is impractical to concentrate only on not educating, but on studying. Capital. This is because of the fact that this style of teaching makes youngsters stressed, disappointed, have real attention problems. No S here. Instead, you put it here. Capital. For example, no capital. Numerous sociological studies have consistently found that students who study at schools that keep students S, or who keep them focused on educational curriculums for long hours, have serious problems regarding concentration and individualization. Therefore, all right, and tell me, lead it back to this. As such, it can be concluded that not only does participating in various sorts of entertaining activities help pupils to improve their academic level and achieve high grades, but it also helps improve their essential life skills. It does? Where did you talk about that? Which life skills were you talking about? I feel like this is, again, it's a new element that you've brought into the essay. Did you talk about life skills anywhere? You talked here about academic, maybe this is what you meant. Okay, all right, fine. All right, it's fine. So, not a good job. There are some nice elements in your writing. You've got some good features. You've got some nice ideas. But there are some things you have to work with. One of them clearly is your punctuation. Capitals at the beginning of sentences, knowing when to put a full stop at the end of a sentence. So that's one thing that I really want you to work on. Because you didn't have them, it really, really leads to difficulty in with your grammar. It creates a strain for the person reading it, okay? So that's the first thing that I want you to deal with. So now what you need to do is you need to correct these essays. You need to create an error correction list where you write the mistakes, and then next to the mistake that you made, write what the suggested improvement was, okay? You'll keep adding to this list with each subsequent essay you write. So go ahead and do that, and then send these back to us with your next set of essays. Try to do this within the next 24 hours or so that you can really apply everything you've been learning. All right, so there's a lot of stuff to do. I'll let you get to it. Thanks for sending in these essays, and good luck with your next set.